Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate, educate, and we inspire you. And I'll tell you what, today's guest is going to inspire you to another level. Not only is she full of energy, not only is she full of life, but she's a dear friend and she's real. So get out your pens and paper early today, because you definitely want to take notes to what Tina has to say today, because she's going to drop some wisdom. So let's welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, Miss Tina Kadish. Woo! The crowd is wild for you. Woo, Tina.
I'm doing awesome, and it's great to be here with you all the way here from Connecticut.
Awesome. Well, I know the amazing person you are, but tell the audience of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, who is Tina Kadish?
So Tina Kadish, I am a life purpose and business coach and mother and wife, and I have really been a person of a lot of growth and self-discovery over the past 5 years. Left the corporate world in 2018 and really wanted to focus on my business full time. And so I just love helping people find their purpose and setting up successful businesses, because I believe that all of us need to step into our greatness and really loving what we do every day.
Woo! I'm going to give you a... You hear that? She was kind of kind, because I've had a lot of conversations with Tina. I give her that blowhorn because she just didn't step away. She smashed corporate. She goes, I'm tired of this. She broke down the old walls to her office, and she said, I'm out of here, right? It's like that old movie, take this job and shove it.
Yes.
But in all reality, I love that, because you really bold in talking about just tired of corporate America, because I think so many people are unhappy about it. And I love your message, because that's who you are. You live it. So many people talk about it and they talk about it and they talk about it, but they don't do anything about it. And you did it.
They don't. And there's various reasons, and we can go into that today. But I think one of them is huge, which is fear. Fear plays a huge part on why people stay stuck in where they are in their life. You know, wherever they are in life, they don't move forward because they stay in that fear.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get out your pen and paper yet, get it out right now, because when you write down what Tina's going to say, what we're going to talk about today, you retain over 50% of the information. Your subconscious mind records it. So write down notes, and you definitely want to take some even extra notes today, because Tina's an amazing woman. She's been through adversities, through trials, and she doesn't make excuses. So let's talk about fear, right? You opened up with fear, Tina. What do you mean fear holds people back? Because we hear it all the time, right? But what was fear to you?
To me, fear was that I had a dream. I wanted to be an entrepreneur for a while, and I just kept making excuses on why I couldn't leave the corporate world. And I think that a lot of us do have that head trash that goes on, that we just can't do something when we really don't know what the outcome could be. I mean, I think that we stay so much in that problem mode instead of a solution mode, that we just tell ourselves stories. For example, I didn't believe that I was good enough to be an entrepreneur, that I just couldn't be successful. I couldn't get clients. And how would people want what I have to offer? Would they come to me? And so I had a lot of those fears going on. And so a lot of times we stay comfortable. We're comfortable where we are, and we want more, but we don't want to make the change, because we're not even willing sometimes to do the work. It takes work.
Well, I love what you're saying, right? When you say the word comfortable, what comes to mind is we're conditioned by society to be poor-minded, and we're conditioned to think that you got a good little corporate gig and you're in the middle class, to say, but still the middle class, you're comfortable and you stop growing, and there's so much unfulfillment in that. Would you
There
say that?
is. Yes, absolutely. I was making good money. I had it. It was comfortable. But I was getting complacent. I was going in every day frustrated and unhappy. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. And so being comfortable is not a good thing. You need to get uncomfortable. And I had to get uncomfortable in order for me to grow, because when we stay in that comfortable, we're not growing.
Boom, baby. You hear that? From Tina Kadish, getting comfortable, right? Being comfortable. It's not a good, I love the way it's not a good thing. There's nothing
Not.
good about it.
There isn't, because, think about it. I mean, we're not growing if we're not doing different things. And so had I stayed in that job longer and longer, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have gotten involved in other opportunities. I wouldn't have had that freedom, and which my book is all about freedom, that I'll share later, on why I
Hear, look at
created
this, 7 steps
my
to
book,
thrive
Freedom,
in
the
life.
7
Hey,
steps.
I got that book.
I know you did, right? So this is why I wrote the book. I wouldn't have been able probably to finish the book and really launch it and get it out there and share my message about freedom, because I want all of your listeners here to really, what can you do to begin to have freedom in your life?
Well, I love what you're saying, because there's so many people that, ladies and gentlemen, Tina was just a 9 to 5 corporate employee, mom, wife, just, I don't want to say an average person, because she's not average, but sometimes we believe it for other people, Tina, and we don't believe it for ourselves, that we could take that step of faith.
That's right.
What are 2 or 3 action steps that you took, that you're going to work, something's going on inside of you, you're comfortable, you're not happy, you're frustrated from what I hear you say. What finally pushed you past that place of being comfortable and the fear, like you said, when you opened up?
What happened for me, number one, I changed some of my activities, some of my actions, and I really stepped up, going out and getting clients while I was working, stepping up. I saved money. I created an emergency fund, a cushion of money that, when I leave, I will have some funds to have. And while I was growing my business. So I did that. I also worked with the coach as well to really guide me, hold me accountable, and really taking those actions. I also, there's a mentor of mine, Jack Canfield. I don't know if you know him, Daniel, but he is a success coach, and he wrote the book Success Principles. And I attended one of his conferences a couple of months before I left my corporate career. And he really talks about a lot about having a vision for yourself, affirmations, really stepping into and having that feeling as if you've done it already. And so I applied it. I really saw myself leaving. I put a date on the calendar. It was done. And if I didn't have that vision.
Okay, so hold up.
Go ahead.
So you took action steps.
Yes.
You said something that was pretty profound there, and I think you just kind of skipped over it.
Okay.
Did you write down the date, right? So I asked you what are some action steps that you took. So you wrote down a date that you were going to leave?
Yes, July 26, 2018.
You remember it?
I do.
So let me ask you this, because people are trying to figure out, well, everybody says this saying, well, someday I'm going to do this. Someday when my kids graduate from college, some days when my kids move out, some days when I turn 40, or some days when our mortgage is less, or whatever your someday is. Everybody has a someday, which is really you're justifying, and it's an excuse if you get down to the root of it.
That's right.
But this is powerful. This is a powerful action steps that y'all can take right now, ladies and gentlemen. What did writing down the date of your last day in corporate America, what did that do to you internally, Tina?
That I was more committed to it, that I knew it was going to happen, and I didn't want to let myself down. And other people knew about it. And this is the other thing. I had the support of my family and friends that I was going to leave corporate. But writing down the date made it real. Putting it on paper, like you said a few minutes ago, writing it down, is so important. Writing your goals down, writing something like this, putting it on the calendar. This was the day. And I was working towards that date. And I had to make it happen. Enough with the excuses. But I think one of the things you had asked before is, what was the turning point? I believe that when you are in enough pain, you'll make a decision. And if you really have that pain of, I got to do this, I've got to take this leap. And I took a leap of faith in believing that I was going to be successful. Was it going to be easy as an entrepreneur? No. However, much happier today than had I stayed there, not following my passion.
Yes.
Okay. But it is growth. It's growth as an entrepreneur.
And I love what you're saying, because, ladies and gentlemen, think about what she's talking about right now. What Tina's saying is, she wrote the date down. What was the date, Tina?
July 26th.
July 26th.
2018.
2018. She wrote it down, and that made her be committed to that date. It gave her something to work towards, a date to work towards, something that she knew that was it. What have you been putting off, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe you're saying to yourself, this works for Tina, but it won't work for me. Yes, it will, because what Tina did is she committed to herself. So many of us, Tina, we're interested in doing entrepreneurship. We're interested in doing our business. We're interested in trying something new. But being interested is not the same thing as being committed. When you're committed, right? When you're interested, all you do is what's easy.
That's right.
But listen to what Tina said, ladies and gentlemen. Tina said she was committed, and there was some painful moments. It wasn't easy. It was hard at times, but she pushed through it, but she was committed. So when things got rocky, when the boat was rocking back and forth, she didn't jump ship. She stayed in the boat, and look, I can tell you she's coming out on the other side with a lot of successes now.
Yes.
So maybe you're listening to this episode right now and you're like, well, it didn't work for me. Well, probably because you were just interested. I'm just going to be real today. You were just interested. So you were doing all the stuff that was easy. But when things got a little bit more challenging, there was a lack of commitment. And Tina wrote down the date in 2018 because she was committed. Did that give you more confidence going to the next step, Tina?
It did. And, you make a very important point. Are we committed, or are we just interested? Because you're right. Just being interested is it's not strong. It's not as powerful, but committed to, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And more importantly too, is knowing your why is so important, because a lot of us are just going through life, and just winging everything instead of making commitments. And they don't really know what their why is. And they're just going through life. They're surviving instead of thriving. And this is why my book is all about thriving, because we want you to thrive. We don't want you to just go through the motions every day, living life like a zombie.
Yes. And by the way, you got to go to Amazon right now and get Tina's book. And she has an amazing, handsome publisher too in the back. I think it was... We
yes,
were honored
he
to
is,
be your
Daniel.
publisher, Tina. So, but what you're saying, in all seriousness, what you're saying is true. It's like we're conditioned, going back to what I'm talking about, right? We're conditioned by society to be poor-minded, to get comfortable in middle class, and to never really. We're trained to think that once we arrive there, that we've arrived, and really we haven't. When you realize that you should always be constantly growing, constantly challenge yourself. And look, I mean, you wrote your book, right? Your book took you a little bit longer than what you had expected, but like, what was that like? Because I think there's so many people out there that are listening to this episode, and whether it's wanting to write a book or wanting to leave their job or just wanting to just experience something new, or maybe for them it's to go back to school and get their degree, whatever it is for you. What was the fulfillment? Because it took you more than what you expected to write your book, but you were committed again.
I was committed. I had never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be an author. That wasn't even in my vision at all. However, I wanted to, one of my goals is to be a public speaker. And I knew that having a book could open doors to the public speaking. So I found a way to create that opportunity. And that's why I wrote the book. And I was trying to figure out, what do I want to write about? Well, a value of mine is freedom. And so I wrote around freedom because I want to impact women and men to really find their freedom, that they can overcome the challenges in life. Whatever, comes our way, we can do it. If we step into it, get uncomfortable, taking action, being committed instead of interested, like you said, and enough with the excuses. Like, we tell ourselves stories on why we can't do something when, what if it works? I mean, this is the thing, like, what if this could work? Instead, we're always thinking, this ain't gonna work. Nah, can't do this. It won't happen. It's too hard. Oh, blame the economy, or I'll blame other people, or I'll blame, like, just looking at other people instead of looking within ourselves, that you have the opportunity to make a change. And it's up to us. No one else can do it for us.
I love what you're saying, because listen to what she's saying, ladies and gentlemen. Everything you're talking about, you know what type of person that is?
What?
The victim. And so many
Yes.
times we play the victim and don't even realize it. Think about what Tina's saying. Maybe you don't see it because you're not aware, because so many people, whenever we do our coaching sessions with our clients, you listen to what they say, and half the time they don't even realize what they say.
Absolutely.
But what you just said right now is you blame others. You blame the economy. Well, guess what? That's playing the victim.
Yes.
You make excuses. You try to justify it. Well, if it wasn't for COVID, I would try it. You're justifying. Again, you're playing the victim.
Yes.
And it goes back to being that poor-minded individual, that poor-minded. You have a inside of us, we have a financial inner economy. And over 90% of Americans have a poor financial inner economy. And you make decisions based on that inner economy of how you see yourself and how you operate your life. We learn this when we're kids by the behavior that's role modeled through us, by the words that we say. And right, we always heard this growing up in our homes. I can't afford this. We can't afford that. We've heard it. I heard that in my home.
Me too.
But it's changing that poor-minded financial inner economy, that poverty financial economy inside of us, to that of abundance, and that having that millionaire financial inner economy. And so let me ask you this. You start your journey, you make the decision, that date comes. When was there a time, Tina? Because I want you to be real. Was there a time that you lost your confidence, and what did you learn about yourself in that?
Well, when I, started being an entrepreneur full time, and I realized, wow, I am the CEO of my business. It's up to me to make it work. And I'm the one that I have to learn things about myself, how to be an entrepreneur, and how do I go out and get clients? How do I generate the revenue? How do I have a lifestyle? So there were times that my confidence was not there, because I was comparing myself to other people that were more successful than me. And here I am, a new entrepreneur, and I hadn't put in the hours that other entrepreneurs had put in. So I was really doubting myself, and I was comparing. Ooh. And that's something that I was really doing a lot. And it's something that I have to work on. And even to this day, I am more confident in myself, and more that I believe in myself. Yes. And knowing my value. But a lot of times we don't know our value, and we doubt ourselves. And that's what lowers our confidence a lot of times.
Well, to be honest with you, it's something that everybody goes through. I went through that. I think even times too, that there's something seems daunting, that I want to do the next big win or the next big. Right now we're working on our new book, our new course, new events that are coming out. And it's like, I was talking to my coach, and she's like, well, you know what? She says, you're allowing the fear of failure to take over you. I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, I'm listening to what you're saying. It's like, whenever something seems so daunting and huge, we take the path of least resistance.
Yes.
She goes, well, what did you do? I thought you were going to work on your course. I said, well, I was, but I started watching football, and then I just made an excuse. She goes, yeah, because you took the path of least resistance, which is right. Whenever you take the path of least resistance, it's a form of self-sabotage. And she goes, what's causing it is the fear of failure. That you're like, right, I'm thinking about all this instead of just taking one step at a time. But I love what you said, because you're so right. We see people in front of us that have put in the hours. And maybe they've been speaking. Maybe they've been coaching for 5-10 years, or just as an idea, as a number. as a point of reference. And then we come in 2 months and we want to be where they're at. And
Yep.
it's like, you're not putting yourself on the same playing field. You're setting yourself up for failure.
That's right. That's right.
And I
You
just had a
are.
client that did this too, right? I mean, when we started working, she wasn't even, entrepreneurship wasn't even an ideal at the moment. It was just kind of getting her life back in order. Then once they were around us and just stuff was going on, it's like, well, maybe I want to do this entrepreneur journey, and great. But you're comparing yourself to A, you're comparing yourself to B, and then you're only sabotaging yourself because I mean, people have been at it for 5 years and they're like, you got to let them know, like you said, the words you said are perfect. They put in the time, you haven't. So how can we expect to get the same results or be where they're at? And we're just setting ourselves up for failure. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. We set ourselves up for failure because we have these unrealistic expectations. And we're expecting to, let's say my goal is to make 6 figures in my first year. Is that realistic or not? Wouldn't it be nice to just get to maybe 50,000 start off with? Okay. And I'm not saying to settle. However, sometimes I think we set these unrealistic expectations, and then when we don't reach them, we have this, then, oh, I failed. I'm a failure. This ain't going to work. And I might give up.
Yes. Well,
So,
that I love what you're saying, because it's so true, because you have to set the expectations that are realistic to you.
yes.
I'm the most positive guy there is, but one thing that I've learned for myself too, and I think I'm pretty ambitious. I think I'm pretty out there, right? I'm like, hey, I can do anything. But I think there comes a point when reality hits, and if your self-image hasn't grown, your revenue, your business is never going to grow larger than your self-image of yourself.
Right.
And most of us, we walk in a self-image of who we used to be in that old identity. So we never receive that larger payday. We never receive that larger business because our self-image hasn't grown. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And think about this, you're leaving the corporate world. You're now, you're being told what to do every day. And now you're an entrepreneur, the CEO of your life, of your business, and now you have to do it all. And so that's a skill set. That's, your internal work that you need to work on that, your inner work. I always say that because it begins with ourselves. Our inner work is so important, because our self-image, how do we see ourselves? Do we value ourselves? Do we value what we do? Do we really believe in ourselves that we're capable of it? Or are we just going through the motions? So I think it's so important that our self-image is there, that we really, believe in ourselves, and having that confidence, that knowing that there's going to be ups and downs, and being okay with it. Because this is the thing for me too. It's letting go of the outcome, not wanting to be in control of everything. And that's something that a lot of us may do. I know for me, it's wanting that control.
You do look like a control freak.
I am, right?
I'm just playing. No, but
I can be. That's a work in progress.
But going back to what you're saying, ladies and gentlemen, think about what Tina just said. Set the expectation, the goal that is realistic. You definitely want to stretch the goal, the expectation, what you set, stretch a little bit. But if you've never made, we'll just say you came out and I just had this conversation with the coach. She's been coaching for a long time, like over 5 years, and she's barely hit 45,000 as a coach. I said, well, everybody hears the word 6 figures and you want to be part of, oh yeah, it's terminology that's just thrown around, but you have to put a number down, an expectation that you believe for yourself. Because so many times, Tina, we believe it for other people, but we don't believe it for us. Right. And it goes back to our belief system. So listen to what Tina's saying right now. What is it? What's a realistic expectation that you can stretch some to believe bigger, that can give you that first win? So if this is your first year in coaching, like Tina's saying, maybe it's 50,000. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Because it's a good starting point, because I've heard this before, right? Somebody leaves their corporate job, they're making 50,000 as the example, and the first thing they say was, I want to make 50,000. And that's okay. There's nothing, I don't do that, because there's many people that are self-employed that ain't even making 30,000. I mean, you'd be surprised just from some of the conversations I have.
Mm.
So set an expectation, like Tina said, that you're going to go out there, that you believe you can reach it. Because once you get that small win, then that gives you the confidence, that gives you that springboard to set a bigger one for next year. And then maybe you can go for that 6-figure, but you got to give yourself that foundation, like Tina said. So let me ask you this, Tina, what is, look into the camera right now. There's somebody in there that's thinking about giving up. She's been coaching, she's been trying this, and she's did exactly what you said. She hasn't put in the years. He hasn't put in the years. And other people have, but they're seeing, they're comparing themselves. Talk to that person for a moment. Look in the camera and give them a word of encouragement. Edify them, if you don't mind, for a moment.
So know that you're worth it. Believe that you can do it. And really shifting your thoughts, going from I can't to I can and I will, and having a burning desire that what you want, you'll get it. But you have to have that burning desire within you. It has to be really stirring inside of you that I'm going to do it no matter what. And really having that drive. And, you know, your mindset, you know, if there's negative thoughts, you know, how do you talk to yourself every day? Are you talking to yourself negatively, or are you talking to yourself in a positive manner? And that is something that is so important. I believe that it's how we talk to ourselves, and really believing that we can do it no matter what the challenges are, because there will be challenges in our life. And how are you going to navigate through them? You know, having strength. I mean, for me, being strong is so important, that I will get through this no matter what. But for me, it's having faith that I will do it. Don't know how, but it's going to get done. But I believe in myself that it will. And it may not come in our own time. That's the thing. You know, we have to be patient, but keep doing the work every day. What are your daily habits to get to that? Are you consistent with what you're doing? Or are you just one day here, one day not? You're just, you know, you're not consistent. So I ask you, why not? Why are you procrastinating? You know, and I think that is so important. It's that consistency of taking action every day, and just now looking at where are you spending your time? Are you spending on the right activities in your business? You know, so I think that is so important, you know, for me. It's having that burning desire that you just know you're going to do it. Never give up.
I got to give you some, woo, that was some word of wisdom right there.
Never quit. Never quit.
Listen to what she said, ladies and gentlemen. What stuck out to me with everything you just said, Tina, is what is the self-talk that you're telling yourself? Maybe a project didn't go the right way. Maybe things didn't turn out the way you wanted. And then you start saying, man, I don't do anything right. Or man, shit doesn't go right for me. And you start cursing up a storm and breaking things and throwing things. I know people like that. What are you telling yourself? What is that inner dialogue? What is that story? However you want to relate to this. What's your self-talk? What are you telling yourself? What's that movie you're playing in your head when things don't go your way? Do you blow up and get frustrated and tell yourself, I can't do anything right? Nothing ever goes right for me. I'm not good enough. You got to stop that. You got to put an end to that self-sabotage and start telling yourself, I'm growing. This is making me stronger. I love what you said that, because I think so many times when we hit those moments of frustration, that's where many people retreat back. We go backwards to what we're comfortable with, what we're familiar with, instead of getting familiar. I always say that, right? It's time to get familiar with the unfamiliar. We don't embrace the unfamiliar. We stay with what we're familiar, because as soon as we feel frustration, we think, oh, this isn't for me. No, it means you got to grow through it. And you got to tell yourself, right? One thing that I always tell myself is, me and Mari hold each other accountable. I say, I'm growing, right? I'm growing. Embrace it. I'm growing. And even though I don't feel good inside, it sooner or later my state changes, because it's like, it's part of the growth. Good example. We're working on our new book right now and our new course, and I'm excited about it. And just getting, it's really going to be the next level flagship course for Daniel Gomez Enterprises. And so I want to do it next level. And it's just been, I've been interviewing companies and just, I'm thinking about this, thinking about that. And I'm just like, man, I don't even want to record a video because it's just too much. But it's like in God's timing, this morning I had a meeting and God brought me the perfect person. And it was just like, wow.
Awesome. Awesome.
Sometimes I think we just got to stop trying to force things. Would you say?
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I've had to work on. It's forcing, controlling, and just trusting the journey, trusting ourselves, trusting the process. My word for 2022 is trust. It's trusting God, trusting my process, my journey, trusting me that I can do it with God, with God. You know, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You know, we can do it if we believe in it.
Yeah. Well, the word you said too, what else stuck out when you said that was consistency. So what keeps Tina consistent every day?
Consistently for me, it's praying every day to God, journaling. I've gotten more into that, writing my thoughts down, consistent with my outreach, connecting with people, giving, engaging, commenting with other people, one-on-one. It's that human connection, you know, not just doing a post. It's really getting that one-on-one with people and really building relationships with people and giving value instead of being a taker. It's really about giving.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come back. You know, it's going to come. You just have to believe in yourself that it'll happen, and trusting the process, trusting yourself, and trusting God that it will happen. That we are where we are at this moment for a reason. But as long as we take action every day, even if it's 1%, you know, right now I'm reading a book, Atomic Habits. It's one of the things that I'm reading, books that I'm reading right now. And it talks about that 1% more every day, you know, is so important. So what are you doing today that's 1% more?
I'm showing up to my podcast, even though I don't feel good.
I always love being on podcasts.
Yes, but you know, I say that jokingly, but it's like sometimes in business, you don't feel like doing things.
Right.
But you got to do them despite of it, even though you don't feel like putting a poster, even though you don't feel like sending an email out, even though you don't feel like reaching out and calling somebody. It's like, it goes back to what you said. We're so used to being told what to do 9 to 5 that all of a sudden you have nobody telling you, Daniel, do this, Tina, do this. And it's like, well, what do I do? And they wonder why they don't even survive their first year. Most small businesses fail because they don't know what they don't take accountability of the actions that they need to take every single day.
Right.
So what's the driving force behind you when you don't want to wake up and get out of bed, but what keeps you consistent in those moments?
What keeps me consistent is that I know the direction I want to go. I know my why. And for me, it's having the freedom, the flexibility that I can make a difference in other people's lives, that I want everyone to live their purpose and loving every day what they're doing, not just following, but leading, you know, and being in control of their life. Because and when I say be in control, what I mean is we're creating our own destiny. We're creating our life, and it's our actions that we take every day. But I love being an entrepreneur because I love the freedom, and I love the way that I can connect with different people every day, just doing different things. And that there's variety, but more importantly, I'm creating, if I can make an impact in other people's lives, that they can live on purpose. Yes, is important to me. It's important.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank
you.
As
we're coming towards the end of the show, I really want to spend some time. When people read this book, what are 2 things that you want them what is your heart's desire that they will take away? I know there's a lot more than 2, but what are 2 things that come to the top of mind awareness that you want them to take away when they read Freedom, 7 steps to thrive in life and business? And
Yes. Well, one of the steps is a mindset in my book. And so what I want people to walk away with reading the book is that if we have the mindset of being in a solution versus a problem, we can grow, we can thrive in our life or business, because we have the mindset, that's shifting our mindset, that we're going to, we want to move forward. We're taking action. So it's really going through the challenges that we can overcome our challenges. Okay. And it's so important that we're able to do that. It's overcoming those challenges and having that mindset that we can do it. Another tip in there is releasing. It's letting go of our past, letting go of those stories that we keep telling ourselves that keep us stuck in where we are. And so if we release that, we can move forward, we can thrive. And that's just one, couple of tips in the book, is the releasing and the mindset to be
So,
in
so
that
how does
solution.
somebody, right? I'm going to pay, I don't know. How does somebody release their story? Like, what is an action step they could take? Because I think there's going to be many people listening to this episode and they're not ignorant in a bad way. They just don't know, right? So how can somebody release that story that no longer serves them? Because I know we talked a little bit about that earlier, but I think I'd like to go a little bit deeper on that, if you don't mind. How does somebody release?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. For me, I had my past of scarcity mindset with money. I just believed, because a lot of it is our limiting beliefs. And I talk about that in the book. We limit ourselves, and we have beliefs that come from our childhood that are brought into our adulthood. So how did I have to release that scarcity mindset? Because that was in my past. It was something that kept me stuck with creating more money. So what I had to do is I really shifted my thoughts, that believing that the money is available. It's available to all of us. Now, did it happen overnight? No, but it's the thoughts that I started just shifting my thoughts to think differently. Okay. But I also surrounded myself with people that were more aligned with what I wanted. And so I also was very aware of my environment, the people that I hung out with. Okay. Was I hanging out with toxicity? Was I hanging out with the naysayers and negative people? No. So I made changes in who I was associating myself with.
Do you think that's hard? Do you think that's hard for people to do?
It could be when it's family members. Okay. Okay. I'll be real here, because sometimes it's your family. So, and you might have to limit your time. Now, if it's a spouse.
I'm laughing because there was a couple of family members that I'll just say, I mean, it's not that we're better than anybody. I say this over and over. So it's something that I've said before on many, many other episodes, but you do got to push people to the outer circle to make room for the new.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of
And
times it's like we feel obligated. I'm laughing because I just had this conversation, and sometimes we feel obligated that we need to be in contact with family members. We need to, and we don't. It's just
we don't.
a belief
We
system
don't.
that we need to change. And
We
sometimes we
don't.
gotta,
We don't. And so when it's family, if it's a spouse or if it's a parent, whatever. I mean, friends, you can limit yourself with friends and you just can get rid of friends. But when it's family, it's a little bit of a challenge. And I'm not saying to not talk to them, or although sometimes I've had to let go of family that I'm no longer associated with them. Okay. And so I think if it's a spouse, I think you have some work to do. Okay. It can be done, but I think it's really working with a mentor, surrounding yourself with other coaches that really help you to shift your thoughts, to help you, guide you, supporting you, helping you to think differently.
yeah.
It can be done. It can be done. It's really shifting our thoughts, okay, and how we think, and being aware of those thoughts and putting them out there, and and working with someone.
Well, you know what comes to mind when you say that is so many times we're on this journey of growth and we're changing, we're growing, and maybe our spouse, husband or wife, they're not.
That's right.
And it's okay. And to what Tina's saying, the worst thing we can do is try to force the new excitement, the new why, like Tina referenced ours, to them, because all you're going to do is push them away.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad we brought this up because I think the best advice that you can get on this is when they see that you're real, when they see that, wow, Tina's not going through a phase. I think my kids were like, oh, dad's going through another fad, right? He's like, dad tried basketball. Dad did softball for a while. Dad's going to be a speaker. Okay. Once they see like, oh, crap, dad wrote a book. Oh, crap, dad wrote another book. Oh, crap, dad won an award. Then guess what? They start to buy into with a new you. Because the reality is if we had, think about this, we're mad at our families, we're mad at people because they haven't bought into the new us, our new endeavor, our dream. But the reality is, crap, you haven't even bought into it yourself. So how can other people buy into it? So I'm glad we're talking about this because when you buy into your dream, when you buy into it and you truly start living it out and the transformation's coming, the small wins coming, believe me, your family members are watching, your husband's watching, your wife's watching, your kids are watching.
Oh, yes.
And next thing you know, they follow suit or they start to kind of listen more to what you're saying. But the worst thing you can do to what Tina said is try to push it upon somebody because you're just going to push them away and shut them down.
Absolutely. And you know, that is so important, Daniel, because you don't want to push people, but they see your growth. They see your commitment. They see that this is what you are doing. They see the transformation. You know, I've had people come up to me and say, you know, I've been seeing your growth. I see it.
And we're talking about husbands and wives here, right? We're talking about spouses. So this, like Tina said, friendships, sometimes you got to just kind of
get rid of,
push them out. But I love what we're talking about. How do we get a hold of Tina Kadish?
So you can, my website is lifeisideal.com. We can connect on a 30-minute clarity call. My email is tkadishcoach@gmail.com. And I would love to get on a call with you if you are in that transition mode. You want to make a change with your career. You want to become an entrepreneur. You need direction. You need that focus. Let's connect on my website. And
go to Amazon right now. Get her book, Freedom,
Yes.
7 Steps to Thrive in Life and Business. Get your book. I promise you, powerful takeaways. It's a good read. Take notes, and it's going to help you on that. What's a scripture or a quote that you rely on in times of adversity, Tina?
Well, the one that I shared, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But there's another scripture that God plans for us to prosper, not harm us. And if I believe that God wants us to prosper, he doesn't want to harm us. He loves us. And so thinking about that, but there's also another scripture about trusting him.
Yes.
And acknowledging him that he will direct our path. You know, I'm not reading it word for word, but I have it in my mind. And I'm not as good as you, Daniel, with all the scriptures, but I'm getting better because that's something that I have wanted to learn to improve, is having a better relationship with God.
I forget the scriptures all the time, so no worries. Well, thank you for being an amazing guest. And ladies and gentlemen, woo!
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
That's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And if you're stuck in life, if you're stuck in business, go to danielgomezglobal.com where we want to help you. We want to give you a complimentary discovery session. We've helped hundreds of our clients break through, grow their businesses, and we can do the same for you. That's danielgomezglobal.com. Take the free assessment there for entrepreneurs, and definitely send us an email at info@danielgomezglobal.com, info@danielgomezglobal.com, and we can help you. And if you're an aspiring speaker and you want to get paid to speak and share your story to the world, March 11th and 12th in San Antonio, Texas, we're having our next Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. We love to help you. Tony Pollard came, and I'll tell you what, since he came to our last Sticker Shock, he's made thousands and thousands of dollars because he took the strategies, he took the roadmap, the blueprint that we showed him. And we love to see you here in San Antonio, March 11th and 12th at our next Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. Until next week, this is Daniel Gomez Inspire saying we love you, we appreciate you. Share this episode with a friend, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to danielgomezinspires.com and get your copy today. That's DanielGomezInspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.